Oh, she crushed the violin. Oh, no. You watched my crush. Oh, no, she crushed on the broken violin. Okay, got it.
for each of the pictures, which explains many things. Point is,
Photo of panic. It happened in an instant. You didn't mean to do that. Well, you didn't mean to push her, didn't you? It was an accident, right? You're not sure. You tremble your way down to the staircase. Same thing what Aubrey did to Basil. That's crazy. That's why he was smiling.
these are blurred out in the normal game, so you can't see them.
Wow. Photo of support. Your shoulders feel heavy. A familiar voice whispers something unspeakable. Your eyes widen. It tells you to follow its lead. It says it's the only way out. It says that everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Shit, man. I feel like reading this shit. Photo of betrayal. You pick up Mari's body and lift it down the staircase. She feels lighter than you think. You feel multiple eyes shift their gaze to you. You keep your eyes toward the ground. Photo of hope. You hear the sliding of a familiar door. A voice tells you to walk. A gust of wind enters the room as the light outside engulfs you. You keep your eyes toward the ground. Photo of a tree. As you face forward, you listen to the crunching of the grass and feel the coolness of the wind. You hear the leaves in the trees ripple as the sun begins to set, but you try to ignore it. It's all just a dream.
But you can see them in the game files. You see the tears fall.
Damn, the last thing, photo of something, that's crazy. Photo of a branch, that's crazy. The light engulfs it as it sways in the wind. For a moment, you feel at peace. You hate yourself for feeling this way. Is that all then? Is everything going to be okay now?
From his tired eyes as he looks ahead, you suddenly realize that none of this is a dream, all of this is real. As you and Basil step into the house, you look back towards the trees and see it. The light engulfs it as it sways in the wind. For a moment, you feel at peace. You hate yourself for feeling this way. Is that all of it? Is everything going to be okay now? Suddenly, Basil stops. You look up at his eyes, but this time they're wide awake, staring at something. You turn your eyes towards it as well, though you wish you didn't. An eye meets yours. Your heart sinks into your stomach. You shouldn't have looked back. You just shouldn't have looked. Welcome to the underground. We're gradually starting to get deeper into the iceberg, so expect some weird, obscure stuff as we move on. Deltarune. I've already mentioned that Homocat and Toby Fox have made stuff for each other in their games. The new Chapter 2 release for Deltarune has an Omori reference in one of Susie's lines. Yeah, crazy stuff, I know. Whatever. Also, the leitmotif. The new Chapter 2 release for Deltarune has an Omori reference in one of Susie's lines. Yeah, crazy stuff, I know. Whatever. Also, the leitmotif from Mary's CD from the tip of the iceberg is used in one of the tracks. Headspace is a loop. Think about this one in simple terms. The main villain of the story is Omori, and he tries his hardest to conceal the truth. Sunny created Omori as a self-defense mechanism, but Omori became too powerful for Sunny's good. This alter ego now stops at nothing to hide all painful memories from him by going on the longest adventures possible. All these bosses and quests are all but a distraction, yet this world isn't perfect, because the truth does come out at one point or another. And who else brings Omori to the truth other than Basil and Mari themselves, as they guide him to the place where Chief hears most, Black Space. But Sunny has been stuck indoors for the past 4 years, and Omori and his imaginary world have done a great job at hiding the truth, by resetting headspace whenever he comes too close to remembering anything. This is hinted at multiple times throughout the game, mostly whenever you see the skeletons of your dead friends who too were reset when Sunny came close to discovering something. or towards the deepest parts of the game where these things manifest themselves more often due to their proximity to black space. The bosses are by far the biggest distractions for Omori, to forget about Basil and everything else. The last layer of defense before black space is Humphrey the Whale, at the bottom of the well. Not only does his dialogue hint at this idea of looping headspace forever, but also symbolically, with his never-ending attacks of swallowing everyone until they die, just like they already have previously as indicated by the rotting skeletons. Will you be doomed to repeat this cycle over and over? Or will you break it? Not many know this, but when you complete the neutral ending of the game where Sunny moves out, a new text file in your game folder appears, called For Sunny, or whatever your in-game name is. There is something behind you, it says. I guess you can't escape the guilt even outside the game now. Morse code. There's a Morse code that plays in two places which you can find either in Black Space 2 or the real life segment. Decoding it reads a bunch of mumbo-jumbo about recycling. For some reason, Sunny is really into recycling. The version played by the jukebox in Black Space 2 has some weird remixes and even Sunny's violin part playing at the end. Basil's cutscene. When jumping down in one of the holes after finding a key for the Hangman game, you will be presented with a choice of playing either the Omori or the Basil tape. Nothing interesting about the Omori tape, but Basil's tape has been shortened, removing the first segment showing Mari lying dead on the floor at his step. This was probably cut because it would reveal too much information too early, and only to some because you can only removing the first segment showing Mari's
Interesting.
choice of playing either the Omori or the Basil tape. Nothing interesting about the Omori tape, but Basil's tape has been shortened, removing the first segment showing Mari lying dead on the floor at his step. This was probably cut because it would reveal too much information too early, and only to some because you can only watch one of the recordings before being teleported back. Perhaps it would also be misleading players to believe Basil was the murderer. You are not my son. In another one of the holes you can jump after retrieving a key, or through Black Space 2 access, is an area depicting Sunny's father chopping the tree on which Marie was hanged. His
I know
shadowy
it.
figure says, teleported back. Perhaps it would also be misleading players to believe Basil was the murderer. You are not my son. In another one of the holes you can jump after retrieving.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Go use the bathroom.
retrieving a key or through black space to access, is an area depicting Sunny's father chopping the tree on which Marie was hanged. His shadowy figure says, "Stay away. You are not my son." Why? Why won't you fall? It's unclear whether the first line was imagined by Sunny, but if it was, then comes the discussion on whether his parents knew of the truth behind the incident. Perhaps they just wished to protect Sunny from harm's way. Be free to make your own theories about that. Unused content. Omori has been in development since 2014, and there's a lot of content that's unused or that has been scrapped, so much so that it would be impossible to cover it all here. This entry will primarily focus on enemies. In Faraway Town, you were supposed to be able to fight dogs and crows at night. They have drawn sprites, but for one reason or another didn't make it to their release. Also, most fights were supposed to use the emotion system. Basically, there's sprites for different emotions for each enemy which are unused. There is also a fight against a baby spider, presumably after defeating something in the walls. In the release, you can simply squash it by walking over it after the possible to cover it all here. This entry will primarily focus on enemies. In Faraway Town, you were supposed to be able to fight dogs and crows at night. They have drawn sprites, but for one reason or another didn't make it to their release. Also, most fights were supposed to use the emotion system. Basically, there's sprites for different emotions for each enemy which are unused. There is also a fight against a baby spider, presumably after defeating something in the walls. In the release, you can simply squash it by walking over it after the fight. In Headspace, the long-legged cat from Firefly Forest was supposed to be a foe. It's just a teleport back to the start now. Also, all of the sprites for the slime girls have been made separate, but have been combined into a trio in the game. If this sort of stuff interests you, then consider checking out this channel. They even made a whole documentation of an Omori version released in 2019, which had many changes and things still in development. Girls' Bathroom. On the Hikikomori route, you can receive a mystery potion by completing one of the slime girls' quests on the last night. This will grant you the mystery potion, which transforms Omori into a girl underwater, giving his sprite long hair. You can also enter the women's restroom with Aubrey now. The track C in your fantasy samples the bop sound from the toad. Pretty cool fact not many know about. Also, here's the original sample for the something sound. Speedrunning. Omori speedrunning is a very niche part of the community. The most popular category for speedrunners is glitched any percent, mostly played on versions 1.0.6, with the current record standing at 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 26 seconds. The fastest way so far to do one of these is to go on the Hikikomori route and to skip all the day content. The run ends when you wake up and stab Sunny. Oh, and also there's even a category for the 2018 demo version for anyone interested in that. Either way, let's explore some of the interesting speedrunning details, starting with the rotten milk. Prior to version 1.0.6, you could use a bug that allowed you to use items you weren't supposed to on enemies. This is achieved by first logging an ability which can be afflicted on an enemy, such as Omori's sad poem, and then cancelling your turn and coming back to instead choose another item. So basically you can heal enemies with your items, or you can apply toys that were intended for your party onto enemies. You see, Rotten Milk is special because it deals a flat 50% damage in health, essentially one-shotting a boss in one turn with 2 Rotten Milks used by 2 different party members. For speedrunners, this means you could accelerate the last bosses to cut time, which is why the version 1.0.6 is the most popular thus far. Also, fun fact, Omori's did not succumb state, allowing him to sustain a lethal blow before losing was bugged too, because the game would perform the check on whether it was used at the end of a turn, and not just whenever it was used. This made fights much easier because you could have a party member heal him indefinitely by restoring his do not succumb state. Another strategy used by speedrunners to their advantage is tag skipping. By mashing the tag button and moving at the same time, you can get past triggers for certain cutscenes, not only saving time but also resources when skipping some bosses such as the King Crawler. The WTF value. Moving away from speedrunning for a moment, I ought to teach y'all about the WTF value. For Neanderthal junkies, this is basically the same as the fun value. Some events will be modified for whatever value your run gets assigned, making each run slightly unique. These are assigned from a number of 1 to 13. The changes aren't anything drastic, but some of the coolest ones are the small junkyard jump scare when interacting with a photo of someone familiar, and the widely known Humphrey line, "I fucking love air conditioning." The train end. It has been confirmed by Omocat that this is the canon ending for the game, and so Omori and his friends took the train and found Basil. What a touching story. We're past the center mark now, in the Lost Library, the place where memories are stored forever. Will you face them head on, or will you scribble them out? Get ready for some really weird stuff as we go down. Starting off strong, we have body pillows, sweetheart body pillows, and also perfect heart from the last day of the Hikikomori route body pillows. Yes, this is not a joke. They were sold on Valentine's Day and apparently they sold out too fast. This fandom really scares me sometimes. Well, on a side note, you can also obtain a body pillow in-game as a weapon for Aubrey in Sweetheart's castle by sleeping in her bed. Moving on. In Omori's 2017 trailer, you can see him using his afraid state, which he never uses in the current game. Omori is always immune to these effects, even applying them to Sunny in the last fight. Also, you probably know how Omori is the only party member who has 3 stages of emotions, but did you know that the afraid state was supposed to be 3 stages, going from afraid to panic, which is unused in the game, to stressed out. Hero's emotions. When researching for this video, I came across some interesting information. Apparently, ever since version 1.0.7, Hero's healing is increased if he has an emotional advantage over a party member, or decreased if he's at a disadvantage. This may be useful in some situations because it would require a setup where one party member is always either neutral or at a disadvantage. Really niche tip, but if it ever helps you, then good on me for telling you. Observe. More on combat, the Observe skill messes with the AI somehow, all the while costing a total of 0 juice. You can obtain Observe very early in the game, by stargazing in the playground. Abby's eye charm from the Hikikomori route, which you can obtain by not sparing her in the abyss, will do the same job. The skill is simple. Predict who the enemy will target on the next attack by using the skill or by having the charm equipped. But the skill works in a very weird way by forcing the foe to decide its turn earlier than it should. The enemy doesn't always have all of its skills registered in the list of attacks it can perform when being observed. This makes some fights much easier if you use the skill to your advantage. Most notably, in the Sweetheart fight, it will prevent her completely from taunting your party, which not only does damage to everyone, but turns everybody angry. But an even crazier strategy is on the most challenging boss in the game, Perfect Heart, whose phase 2 transition where she heals herself back to full health can be observed to be completely prevented entirely, giving you a victory because her health at the end of the turn is 0. White Surf Style 6. The in-game version of this track, which plays in the snow biome, is looped in a completely different way compared to the official soundtrack. I just had to include this one because nobody seems to mention this anywhere at all. Black Space Warps. There are plenty of alternative entrances to Black Space for you to find in the game. Some are less obvious than others. Most of the entrances unlock either after defeating Humphrey or on the last night of the Hikikomori route. However, some of these warps require you to equip the Universal Remote charm obtained from the TV quest in the Other World. By doing so, some of the TVs will serve as teleports to various Black Space locations. Otherwise, there's also a bunch of others that I haven't mentioned scattered around the world for you to find, so be on the lookout. Red Maze. In Black Space 2, one of the most obscure places you can get to is the Red Maze. It's located at the docks where you must walk off the main path into the void to enter it. Once there, you will be in a huge maze with some more stuff. You can interact with a toast, which will make you start losing health, and spawn Hail Marys, which will scream loudly if you touch them. In the middle, there is a big ladder which you can go down. Halfway through, you will meet Daddy Longlegs. the same stranger who reminded Sunny about the truth in the Firefly Forest. This time, he will tell you to turn back while you still can, but if you don't, then you get to see this monstrosity. Mari's home is by far the least well-known place of black space. The only way to don't, then you get to see this monstrosity. Mari's home is by far the least well-known place of black space. The only way to access it is by either taking a warp to the docks in the black space area with something following you, or by getting access to it through a mixed hikikomori route, where you give up on opening the door for Kale on day 2. If going by the normal route, the screen will constantly become grayed out and full of static, as if indicating that you're not supposed to be here, making it hard to explore. However, once in, you can see a creepy recreation of Sunny's house where all his real-life friends are here. They say that Mari is acting weird, and by going to check in on her, you either get a jump scare or get access to more black space depending on your choice of opening the door for her or not. This room and Red Maze are by far the most obscure places in all of Omori, so congratulations if you found them out on your own. The oldest, the wisest, and the favorite. When interacting with the branch coral to explore. However, once in, you can see a creepy recreation of Sunny's house where all his real-life friends are here. They say that Mari is acting weird, and by going to check in on her, you either get a jump scare or get access to more black space depending on your choice of opening the door for her or not. This room and Red Maze are by far the most obscure places in all of Omori, so congratulations if you found them out on your own. The oldest, the wisest, and the favorite. When interacting with the branch coral inside the deep well, you get to hear some interesting details about the lore of this game. The coral describes that before Headspace was created, Sunny had 3 creatures which all now reside in this world. The first is the oldest, being Humphrey the whale, losing all his conscience and evolving into a parasite within himself. He's grown too powerful, able to defeat Omori each time to be able to reset Headspace to continue the cycle. The second is the wisest creature, that being Abby, the one whose tentacles spoke out from the ground in various places of Headspace. The coral tells you that she committed an act that opposed the dreamer's will, supposedly bringing out the truth. As all that do so, Omori erases and banishes the black space, the place where you can find her in the hikikomori route. As a result, she was stripped of her wisdom and banished to isolation, a special prison somewhere deep down. And lastly, the favorite creature is the big yellow cat who watches over the neighbor's room, the most important and calm place for Omori next to white space. All of these creatures have been inspired by some variant from the real life, the large cat being from the playground, Humphrey from a book, meanwhile, Abby being a bit of a mystery, but more on that later. Route. As a result, she was stripped of her wisdom and banished to isolation, a special prison somewhere deep down. And lastly, the favorite creature is the big yellow cat who watches over the neighbor's room, the most important and calm place for Omori next to white space. All of these creatures have been inspired by some variant from the real life, the large cat being from the playground, Humphrey from a book, meanwhile, Abby being a bit of a mystery, but more on that later. Welcome, the Black Space. Omori Boy. Omori was originally designed as a comic. It started off in 2012, so in 10 years you can expect a lot to have changed. The first ever drawing of Omori Boy had the caption, "I'm Omori, and I fap and play old games." 2012 Omori was an absolute giga chad living the life. He'd spend time with hot babes on his computer and his cat, didn't shower, would jerk off all the time to his waifu, didn't have to pay rent because he lived in a blog, and would constantly have depressive thoughts. You should check them out if you have some time, they're really interesting. Under the game files, there is a short 12-second clip. The clip starts with the text in memory of a day, with a very scratchy-like font. Once it fades out, it cuts to a small animation of Omori sitting in a room, on a single bed alongside another double bed and even a fridge. The end, before quickly rolling the credits. Omori. Well, after looking about this some more on the internet, I found that it's just a reference to a show. Henry. Back in Omori's development a long time ago, Hero was originally named Henry. Scary. Also, fun fact, Basil went through a bunch of changes in character development. Omocat said that his personality was split in two, giving half to Omori after he got reworked to be the Basil we know now. 3DS plus PS Vita. Omori was originally supposed to be released on the 3DS and the PS Vita, as stated by the Kickstarter. Despite the monetary goal being met, it doesn't look like we'll be getting them at all. Just goes to show how long the development of this game took. Male Aubrey and female Omori. In early development, Omocat envisioned players could pick the gender of Sunny, which would alternate Aubrey's. There are some drawings of both, and as previously mentioned, you can use the mystery potion to turn Omori into a girl for a while. But they scrapped that idea because it would take them too much time to draw everything and re-gender the dialogue. Roboheart. From first appearance, Roboheart might seem to only be spamming random letters and numbers, but when decoded from base 64, she has some dialogue. You can see them on screen. So yes, in the battle with her in the Hikikomori route, you just have no pity for her, because you don't understand her. Nice. Inko. Inko was an in-game character scrapped somewhere in 2014. However, there are remainings of a picture of her, as well as a whole theme track. It's unclear what sort of role she had in the story, as her mask and black and white appearance suggests she was a Headspace character. More interestingly, when listening to her theme, we hear a calm, slow piano playing and a lot of static. You can make your own theories about that. Speaking of unused content, there is a lot of music from old times. They're all one simple Google search away, but most of them are just remixes. Yet one stands out from the crowd, and it's the track Evil. As its name implies, it's no good, especially for your ears, because it's just all the tracks combined into one. Here's a small sample if you're curious. In the Black Space sketchbook, you can find this abomination of a portrait. When looking in the game files, it's referred to as face cluster, and when zooming in, it is in fact all portraits in at once. Also, there's this thing which I included in the iceberg named NowYouKnow.png, where Sunny has his eyes wide open, presumably after finding out the truth. 99 letters. Originally, Black Space was supposed to be a linear progression from one area to another, unlike in the release where you have to reset to the main hub every time you collect a key to another door. What's interesting is that 7 of the original Black Space rooms from development have not been deleted but made inaccessible. You must collect 99 Hangman letters to unlock it, which is impossible. Some of these rooms evolved to what we have today, such as the one where Basil gets beat up by his friends, the early treehouse area, and a corrupt version of the memory lane. But there's more. In fact, I came across this Reddit post which explained how Black Space was originally going to play out in the beta. The start would have your party struggle to enter the Black Space door, which would unlock after you've collected the Hangman letters, only to agree to leave Omori go in alone. From there, the 99 letter sequence of areas and much more would play out, as Omori would repeatedly kill Basil every time he mentions the truth. Finally, once at the exit of Black Space, the cutscene would play out differently on your route. In the normal route, Basil would try to mention the truth one last time, only for you to personally interact and stab him. Or otherwise, on the Hikikomori route, Basil would conveniently forget everything and walk out the door to greet everyone waiting. From there, Basil would take a photo of everyone at the same spot at the start of the game, but this time everything would go well without a fight and the party would go see Marie at the picnic. But what if I told you there's yet another Skype sequence of introduction to Black Space? Yes, you heard me right, there's more. This one is really interesting. Marie would come to the neighbor's room when everyone was playing cards to talk to them about a haunted house south of the playground. She tells everyone to go have a look before joining the party, as you would approach it through a lone corridor. When everyone was playing cards to talk to them about a haunted house south of the playground. She tells everyone to go have a look before joining the party, as you would approach it through a lone corrupt forest. Omori's friends would slowly disappear one by one, all but Marie. At this point, the cutscene would get really weird. Marie gets a reality check and tries to stop Omori from jumping into the hole in Basil's house, which is Black Space. Then, Omori would try to stab himself to go back to white space to forget about all of this nonsense, but his model would start glitching with Sunny's, until finally, Sunny takes control of headspace as it becomes glitched out and you would finally be able to jump into the hole. Well, on a side note, while this whole event was scrapped, Marie still makes a notice of a haunted house in the game if you talk to her at the picnic near the end of the game. The Abyss. Now we're at the bottom of the iceberg. The most obscure and interesting entries reside here. Let's get right into it. Tag voice lines. In the Omori 2018 demo, there are unused voice lines for when you would tag a party member. Have a listen.
Hi. Yuck.
Hey.
Can you even imagine if they did a voiceover for the entire game? That'd be demo. There are unused voice lines for when you would tag a party member. Have a listen.
Hi. Yuck.
Hey.
Can you even imagine if they did a voiceover for the entire game? That'd be pretty cool. Taco, Uni, and Meido. These 3 names are scrapped characters from Omori development's past. You can still find them in the game through some specific warps on the Hikikomori route in Black Space 1, but they don't have any interactions aside from just vanishing when interacted with. Let's go through them one by one. Taco-chan is a tentacled girl with a question mark on her face, whose appearance suggests that she might have been an early version of the Abby we know today. In one of Omori Boy's blog posts, you can see her stopping Omori from from doing self-harm. And in another, we see Omori drawing her. The way I see it is that the original Omori boy had some sort of love story involved, where Tako with her question mark figure would be Omori's idealized love, which he hasn't met yet. The second is Uni, who is most likely an early version of the somethings Omori sees. You were supposed to be able to fight them, just like any others. When looking at some very old enemy drafts, we see that his name was an empty friend, and right next to him, a broken clock. You can make your own theories about that. The last character is Meido, whose appearance is very similar to Sweetheart. However, her black and white appearance makes it seem as if she's a stranger in Hatespace. Anyhow, in the current game, the inspiration for Sweetheart is that one annoying lady from the candy store. These three characters mostly evolved into different things in the current game, but their appearance dates back to the very first trailer in 2014. You can notice them for a very brief moment during the town of Salem part, where they come out at night. Hero Massage. This entry is not talking about the massage skill for Hero, but rather about this huge sprite list that Omocat tweeted out in 2019. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, but I want you to look at this thing. It's a bunch of sprites of Hero doing a massage to Sweetheart for some reason. Speaking of unused sprites, there's also Basil and his grandma watering plants, and whatever this abomination of Mule is. Mule theories. Mule is Mary's cat, and one of the only essentials for Omori worthy of staying in white space. Thus, having this importance of the cat in mind, what's the significance of that one room in black space that everyone knows about? You're given the choice to cut open Mule for what reason? Perhaps it's just to shock the player knowing that they didn't have to do so, as it would seem like the only option when trying to progress through the area. In the real life segment, Mule is nowhere to be seen, but there are some leftovers from old Omori where he would serve as a guide to the truth in some scenes, but in the game he most likely just passed. Except when you think about this for a second, perhaps this punishment room was Sunny's imagination of euthanasia. Even more interestingly, in the Hikikomori route, the last night's white space has Mule present or not, depending on the choice you made in black space. A contradiction to the notion that headspace has been reset and sent into a new loop. Another element connected to Mule is the butler, which you can see in Sunny's sketchbook, and in that one black space room, it's also a bit of a mystery from where the inspiration for this came from and what his purpose is. Omocat's past. So, Omocat has been around on the internet for a while now, doing all sorts of art, and back in the day there have been some controversies. They're not anything interesting, but I thought I'd mention them here since it's about the game's developer. Here's some pics of whatever this thing is, and on one of the images I had to look up what the word shara means. Basically, it's CP or cheese pizza. Omocat tried to sell that shirt to the public, which caused some backlash, which he refuted, but either way, that's pretty much it. Nothing else to it. Is it weird? Yeah. Is Omori going to get cancelled for this now? Maybe sometime in the future. Who knows? Moving on. 2014 demo. You can find on YouTube a video dating from 2014 showing early gameplay. You can also see Uni, the empty friend character previously discussed. That's really the only footage we have, but there are some interesting things to look into. First of all, Omori got a water. Secondly, there are many tracks left over from the 2014 demo, and judging by the gameplay, the atmosphere was a lot more childish compared to what we have today. The tracks that would play were much more calmer and cute. If you're interested in seeing more of the really early Omori stuff, then head over to the Kickstarter's update page to see a bunch of interesting things. Placeholder end. On the last day, there is placeholder text left over telling of the events that occurred during the final parts of the game. If you were to originally abandon Basil, you would be woken up by a gunshot, where upon entering his room, blood splatter would be in the form of something, and you get the cutscene, not your problem. Everything else is like what we have now, except for the final good end scene where Sunny would confess the truth to his friends. There was a portrait made for him when he'd speak for the first time in a regular text box. But what's crazier, if you were to get the bad ending of giving up, there's cutout text which you can see on screen of all Headspace friends calling out Omori for one last adventure. Crazy stuff. Cake. In the first build of 2014 Omori traveled around and ate different nice cakes. Yay. You can also see a cake in the 2014 trailer, being burned by candle wax and then eaten. Perhaps it's symbolic of time passing and Omori's childish desire to stay a kid and not worry about anything. 143. These numbers are symbolic of a message, one that's often mentioned, but you most likely haven't noticed in the game. It stands for I love you, I for 1, love for 4, and you for 3. Firstly, the WTF value previously mentioned is attributed to the 143rd variable, which is not a coincidence. Then, there's a bunch of fights with phobias where they would deal exactly 143 damage when the attack was scripted to be lethal. Also, one room in black space you can get something to join your party, or he will say, Sonny, I love you. And finally, you can see on the screen that the Nintendo pre-order promo has this same message when Marie becomes corrupted for 1 frame. Sunny's house background, the last entry of this iceberg, is about the audio playing in Sunny's house. What exactly is it, and where does it come from? The audio of the voice is so muffled and distant, and it's hard to make out any lyrics from the track. I have a feeling that it may be reversed, but it's still very hard to figure out anything from this. Perhaps it's not a song, but just child banner. I don't know. If you know, then please tell me. Figure out anything from this. Perhaps becomes corrupted for 1 frame. Sunny's house background, the last entry of this iceberg, is about the audio playing in Sunny's house. What exactly is it, and where does it come from? The audio of the voice is so muffled and distant, and it's hard to make out any lyrics from the track. I have a feeling that it may be reversed, but it's still very hard to figure out anything from this. Perhaps it's not a song, but just child banner. I don't know. If you know, then please tell me.
A flower crown. It has been preserved by the cold.
Oh, thank goodness you're here, Omori. I thought I was gonna be stuck here forever. I can't believe you came to save me. I missed you so much.
You tried to calm down, but your lungs fought to breathe.
Sonny, all these times I reached out to you, why didn't you answer?
You tried to focus, but nausea overwhelmed you.
You promised me that we'd face this together, but you left me all alone.
You tried to persist, but you couldn't hold steady. You gathered all your courage and learned to subscribe.
Omori, wake up. There's light coming from the ceiling. Do you think it's a way out? Omori, you're so heavy. Come on, up the stairs you go. Omori? Thank goodness you're awake. Are you hurt at all? I was trying to pull you towards this white light at the top of the staircase. I get a really nice and warm feeling from it. Let's go up together.
Sleep, little one. You are safe with me.
We can rest now, Omori. All our friends are here.
Yo, the pizza here. Oh, for sure. Hey, pizza here. Oh, hold on. Let me get the money. That's all good. All right, here you go, man. Thanks. Thank you.
Well, let's look at the fucking trophies. How about that? How about that? Yeah, I'm gonna order some fucking food, man. I don't fucking care. I'm fucking hungry and shit. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not even tired, yo, but I guess I've just been doing the same shit. Dang. Alright, what was I gonna do? Oh, yeah. Alright. Okay, this is the reason why I thought Mari would be alive. It's all a dream. Maybe he would have woken up. Nope. Nope. Yeah, I'm not planning this. Nah. Hell, I think I'm gonna give up on the platinums, man. Damn, it takes forever. Anytime. Okay, this is the Oh, we could just look it up right here. Defeat 100 monies. Reach the bad ending. Complete the faux facts. Hell no. Have a ghost party. Defeat the earth. What the fuck is that one? You can fight the earth? That's hilarious. Defeat question mark? Gua. I don't remember. Defeat mutant heart. Down. Space ex-husband? At least I did that one. Sheesh, man. Well, that's it. That's it for Omori. So yeah, I'll just see y'all some other time. My goodness, I've been drained. I've been consumed by Omori, okay? That's it. So much Omori knowledge crammed into one day. And I got a PS5 too, so sheesh. Gonna see what I can put on the PS5. Will this be the cause I gotta save data, and my internet is what do you call it, private, so I can't connect the PS5 unless I have the password, and I do not have the password. My brother does, and my brother is not here, not in a couple days, so I won't be able to use it unless I play a new game. Yeah. Like Kingdom Hearts. Oh, hell, hell, I might play Kingdom Hearts later, maybe. Or a baby dots, I don't know. Let's see what we got. Gravity Rush. I gotta finish Gravity Rush. But it's not a CD. Fuck. Anyways, I'll see y'all later.